Our lead story of the day is regarding yesterday's White House press briefing, where Fox News reporter Jacqui Heinrich questions Karine Jean-Pierre on the cheat sheet that Joe Biden was caught with once again during Wednesday's press conference with the president of South Korea. We're going to break it down for you, folks. Before we jump into anything, as always, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment down below. Your help support would be greatly appreciated. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Okay, Jacqui.
Thanks, Karine. The LA Times said that their reporter did not submit any questions in advance of yesterday's press conference. So to people who saw that pocket card, can you explain how that ended up there and why the president needed something like that?
So just to step back, and I'm actually glad you asked that question. Clearly, I would let the reporter for Los Angeles Times speak for herself. It is entirely normal for a president to be briefed on reporters who will be asking questions at a press conference and issues that we expect they might ask about. It is not surprising that yesterday we would anticipate questions that he did receive, right, on the visit with the South Korean president, as the South Korean president was standing to his right, or about 2024. That was completely expected, or about the debt ceiling, which he took questions at the end, shouted questions at the end, and of course we would note those issues to him. Those issues to him will likely come up, and let's not forget.
Can we just pause it here one moment, because you're seeing a cover-up and a spin in real time. The question was predicated on the cheat sheet, the pocket sheet that Joe Biden had during Wednesday's press conference, of which he had a reporter's face, what number she was in terms of the order of how the reporters are going to be called on. The question even had his response on it. And she's going to spin it and say, oh, well, it's normal for presidents to be briefed on what type of questions they may be getting. That is true, but that is also a spin. The question was not about that. The question was based on the cheat sheet that Joe Biden had. It is not normal for a president to have a cheat sheet, a pocket sheet that has vetted questions on it and already pre-prepared responses. Why does he need that was the question, Karine. How did it get there? And then her beginning leading statement was, well, I'm going to let the Los Angeles Times reporter speak on behalf of herself, as if she doesn't know how it got there. It was printed out. Somebody had to have created that. It wasn't just kind of wound up in Joe Biden's pocket, just willy-nilly. It just kind of, it just that kind of appeared, which they have ran with stories like that, by the way. If you want a story that's very similar to kind of that idea of like, it just kind of happened, it was a coincidence, is when Joe Biden went to the border and thousands of illegal aliens that were in the streets 24 hours prior just all of a sudden disappeared and weren't there when Joe Biden landed. And she stands up here and goes, well, it's just a coincidence. They kind of just disappeared. They walked off on their own. I had no idea how it got there. That's kind of like what's going on here of, hey, just kind of cheat sheet just wound up in his pocket. Had no clue how that thing got there. But he gets briefed on all this stuff. It's a spinning real time, major cover-up story, folks.
We do these briefings every day, and a lot of the questions that you all tell me, that's how we brief him as well. You all ask me, that's how we brief him as well. So, look, we do not have specific questions in advance. That's not something that we do, and in fact...
What? We know for a fact that's a lie, lady. One we just saw on Wednesday, okay? Don't give us this crap. I mean, that right there is a lie. Literally, you had a vetted question and his response already prepared with a reporter that was there in real time that was reading off the damn thing practically when she was given the mic. Furthermore, we've already seen this before. This is not the first time this has happened, where he had a list of reporters on who to call on and pre-question or pre-vetted questions that he was going to receive, and then already pre-vetted answers of which he was going to give. By the way, this is not the first time you've even been given this question in the press briefing, Karine. And she's going to sit there and lie to all of us and go, well, this doesn't happen. It just did. What do you mean it doesn't happen? That's what the whole question's about. It was, how did it get there? And why does Joe Biden need it? She's still rambling on. Like I said, the reason why I say this is the biggest cover-up we've ever seen, you got a president that was elected with dementia or whatever, alleged dementia. We got to be careful legally here. Something's going on up here. Nobody's covering on this or covering about it or talking about, hey, where's the cognitive test for this guy? Where is an actual president standing there where she's standing to receive unvetted questions from the press corps? Well, you receive shouted questions. He receives them. That's not what the press wants. That's not what the American people want. We want a actual president to stand up there and take questions that are unvetted and give us coherent responses that come from his brain. But he can't do it. I think you literally have a guy that was elected that has no clue on what the hell is going on. Why is nobody talking about this? Even Fox, Why is nobody questioning him on this? Every reporter in that room, honest to God, if you want a story, I really do believe this. I really do. This is one of the biggest stories, I think, out there, is that Joe Biden, this isn't working. And that you have the media, you have Karine Jean-Pierre, you have the people in the White House covering for this guy. That's why they're not allowing you to talk with him. That's why they make you shout questions from the back. He can't even hear it.
I would point out the questions that was asked was different than what was on the card that you all saw. And look, again, we have these press conferences. The president takes your questions. Our job is to get a sense of what you all want to ask him. That is our job here, to get a sense of what's
She never answered the question. She's
the news
still
of the
rambling.
day, the topics you all are interested to ask of him, and so that we are all, not just him, we are all prepared to take that seriously and to take that in a way that is going to be reported from our point of view, because we know that you all are reporting out to the American people and want to make sure you get our point of view of how we see these different issues that I even just laid out, whether it's 2024, whether it's what has been discussed or the agenda with the president of South Korea. Again, we take this very seriously, and we want to make sure that we're providing information.
Dude, she is still talking. Diarrhea mouth. The question was, how did it get there, and why does Joe Biden need it? You know, you guys, when you're hearing a BS response and somebody trying to cover up for somebody that has a cognitive disability, by the way that they're talking, giving a long-form answer to a very short question.
That's helpful to you and the American people.
How are the reporters decided?
So the way that we have moved forward with this type of process is that we reach out to a number of reporters who we know are going to be at the press conference, and that's what we did yesterday. And also we try to be really mindful and who has not gotten a question in a while. And so, as you know, we could only.
Hold on, didn't she just say that they don't get basically questions ahead of time? But then somebody's like, hey, how do you choose these people? Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. Actually, we contact them ahead of time. Contact them about what? That you're going to call on them? What? What do you contact them about? I'm just curious here. Let's see if she answers it.
We picked 2 reporters yesterday, so that limits our ability on how many reporters we can call on. Mary's not here, but I can say one of the reasons that we picked Mary is because she was just named chief White House correspondent for ABC and had not gotten a question in some time. And we picked the Los Angeles Times, which has not gotten a question in some time. And I want to add that the fact that California has the largest Korean American population in any state in the country.
Again, I'm connecting the dots for you folks because sometimes we might miss it because she rambles on so long and so, for so much nonsense that comes out of her mouth. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. The cheat sheet had a Los Angeles Times reporter on it with already a pre-vetted question and Joe Biden's response on the other side of the card. She says she has no idea basically how it got there. She's going to let the Los Angeles Times reporter speak for herself. It just, the card somehow wound up in Joe Biden's pocket. Nobody printed it. Nobody designed the thing. Nobody actually sat there and typed in the stuff. It just miraculously appeared in Joe Biden's pocket. Then she goes on to say, well, we don't receive questions ahead of time. Well, how do you choose your reporters, Karine? Oh, well, great question. Oh, we actually call them when we talk to them beforehand. And it just so happens as well, coincidence, all coincidence, that the person they called ahead of time, which is the Los Angeles Times reporter that had her image and question, as well as Joe Biden's response on the card, which supposedly doesn't happen. That was just all make-believe. We didn't actually see that. All those photos you saw, that's not real either. It's just, gaslighting in real time, folks, coming from the leader of the free world, the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre here. It's amazing to me how she's going to say that they talked to them and they got their questions in, although they don't receive these questions ahead of time. And the reporters just miraculously know who's going to be called on because, again, they talked to them. Do you see what's going on here? It's a spinning, it's a lie, it's manipulation, and we're seeing it happening in real time. These people knew that they were going to be called on ahead of time. They gave them the questions that they were going to ask ahead of time. They prepared the president ahead of time. They wrote his response on a card ahead of time. They gave it to him ahead of time. And so when he was asked the question, he already knew it was coming his way because he can't think on his own because he's not up here anymore. He's gone. Joe Biden left the building a long time ago, folks. That brain has not been working for a long time.
Country, and LA has the biggest population of any city in America, and LAT is the biggest daily paper serving that population. So we are mindful on who we pick and who we want to communicate out to. And so that's how we move forward with Mary and Courtney. We thought that is pretty reasonable, wanting to, as we have the South Korean president with us during this press conference, because we wanted to also communicate with the Korean American. So that's usually how we move this process forward.
I'm sorry.
Karine, is it your contention, Karine?
I'm not taking call.
That the
Jackie's
question that was
not done.
on the
Go
so-called
ahead,
cheat
Jackie.
sheet was
Jackie,
not
your
similar
colleague-
to the
your-
question that was asked at the
Your
press
colleague
conference.
is not
But
done. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a very reasonable question.
No,
I'm
but
asking.
I
It's
hear
a
you.
very
Can you
reasonable-
wait your turn? Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I really do. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
And just to be clear, to people, skeptics who saw the card and saw the question number one and might think that that is a signal that it was pre-organized. Did the president have other questions that he was prepared, had similar talking points in case he was asked something on other topics in that same?
Jackie, I'm going to be, as someone who is part of his of the prep briefing with the president for these press conferences, as his press secretary, we talk about an array of topics that could potentially come up, and that's what we do. Just at the end, there was shouted questions, and he took those shouted questions. But we also had a sense that, hey, you might get something on a debt ceiling, which makes a lot of sense, which is one of the news of the day. So we cover an array of topics. It's not just the two Americans who asked questions. It was also the two South Korean reporters who asked questions. So we do our best to make sure that the president is ready to communicate with all of you and the American people. So yeah, we covered an array of issues, but of course there are probably the top 5 topics, hot items that you all are interested in, and so that's kind of how we move forward.
And the last one, just on that.
Insane. Again, let me know in the comment section below. Do you think this is one of the biggest cover-ups here? Where you got a guy that was elected without a brain that works? Let me know in the comment section below, folks. She's not going to answer the question one bit. She's going to spin it and manipulate and lie to all of you. And I would also like to point out, folks, Joe Biden is right now probably going to win in 2024. So we don't have our ish together as a Republican Party or conservatives at all. We're even divided amongst ourselves. So right now, the same guy that's in office right now that's screwing everything up, that's screwing you over, your retirement over, your shopping habits over, meaning that you have to pay more at the grocery store for something that you didn't have to pay that much for when Trump was in office. I mean, everything's screwed over right now. You got millions of people pouring across the border. You got China wanting to invade Taiwan. You got Iran wanting to build a nuclear weapon, which Joe Biden somehow wants to negotiate that one over again after what Obama did, which Obama basically handed over billions of dollars to people that want to blow us off the face of the earth, as well as Israel. And that didn't work out so well because now they're just being unable to build nukes once again with Joe Biden in office. What the hell else is going on? Oh, Russia's invading Ukraine. You don't think things are getting a little worse? Realistically, folks, if Joe Biden gets in office in 2024 for another 4 years, odds are China is going to invade Taiwan and you have a World War III. That is probably what's going to happen here. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.